Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. Got all your Christmas shopping done. Got some great stuff today. First thing is I want to thank Ray and Tim. They came up with a great new tool that we can use both for new clients and annual reviews. So thank you, Ray and Tim, for the time you put into this. We really appreciate it. And you'll find it under the new client or annual review because you will use it both with a new client and an annual review. It's called the routine payment list. How many of you out there we talk to our clients about this where we divide chores. So I take care of all our family's investments, but Michelle, my wife, takes care of the checkbook and paying the bills. I have no clue what she does with the checkbook. She could have been salting money away for the last 20 years, and I would have no clue on that because she takes care of that. So how many of you divide chores? Just yays or nays, Ys or Ns? Yay if you do. Okay, we're getting a lot of Ys. Some are saying a couple no's, but mostly Ys. So here's the thing. If something happened to Michelle, I wouldn't know what bills to pay, who to contact, when they were due, what's on auto pay, what's not on auto pay, and do I really need that kind of stress? No. Also passwords and those kind of things to talk to those people. So what Ray and Tim has come up with, and Missy and Tricia kind of ironed out so everybody could use it, is a routine payment list. So people can put down their mortgage, electric, TV, cable, gas, who the company is, how much the amount is, when it's done, the frequency, the source, all of this stuff on an Excel spreadsheet so people can put this down. So it's something you would offer as a great tool for people when they come on board. And it's something that you'd want to ask every single annual review. Say, have you updated your routine payment list to make sure it's still current? So thanks, Ray and Tim, for doing that. That's a great new tool that is now available to everybody. This out of Market Watch. This is the most dramatic thing that's almost ever happened in the entire world history of finance, according to Warren Buffett's sidekick, Munger. So what's he talking? Oops, let's go back here. Berkshire Hathaway's Charlie Munger warned of a frenzy in the stock market and said that he believes returns over the last 10 years will lag those of the previous 10 years. So guys, how much has Warren Buffett and Munger seen? How long have they been investing? Since what decade? Since what decade have these guys been investing? Yeah, 1960s, exactly, Kevin. So they are looking at what's happening right now and saying the same thing that we've been saying, every once in a while on the Monday calls. It's gotten crazy. Nobody knows when the bubbles are going to blow up, Munger explained. Just because the just because it's the Nasdaq doesn't mean it will have another run like this one very quickly again. This has been unbelievable. There's never been anything quite like it. Guys, how long did it take for the Nasdaq to recover after the 2000 crash? What year did it finally get back to ground even after the 2000 crash? Not the S&P 500, but the Nasdaq. Yeah, David's got it, 2014. 14 years to get back to ground even on the NASDAQ. Looking forward to the next Munger doesn't expect the kind of returns investors have enjoyed over the last 10 years. Frenzy is so great, and the systems of management, the reward systems are so foolish, Warren Buffett's longtime partner said. Like many market bears on Wall Street, Munger also questioned how long the Federal Reserve can keep supporting stocks. Guys, what have companies been doing with the fact that Federal Reserve is pumping money into the marketplace? We've talked about this several times. What have they been doing with that? Have they been hiring more people, buying more infrastructure? What have they been doing with that money they've been getting? Yeah, Ron's got it. Tom's got it. They've been doing buybacks. So guess where a vast majority of the market, we got two things that are driving the market. One is the millennials in their basement on Robinhood buying stocks. Because where's all the big money right now, guys? Where's all the big money right now? Buying stocks? Or what's the big money been doing for the last 8 months? They're in cash. So you got the guys in the basement in a thin market buying stocks, which is driving it up. And then you got the Fed Reserve pumping money in there where large corporations have been buying back their own stock. Are those things that should be causing the market to go up? Is that a good, healthy market when those are the two things that are causing the market to go up? So he goes on to say, we're in very uncharted waters. Nobody has gotten by with printing the kind of money we've been doing for an extended period of time without some kind of trouble. We're in the very near edge of playing with fire, which basically we talked about last week, right? We're in that room filled with dry papers and a gas can. Now, we don't know what's going to light the fire, but guys, how long before, how big a spark is it going to take? Thanks, Dennis, for sending me this BlackRock Student of the Market December issue. Had some great information in there. A couple of charts that I loved. Low returns in the next 10 years might not look the same. So let's look at some of these periods of time. So let's look at the 1960s. So the 1960s, U.S. bond returns in the 1960s were close to 4%, and the stocks were close to about 7 or 8%. How about the 70s? Oh, first of all, was that okay? Bonds at 4, 7 or 8. Is that okay for a balanced portfolio? I think it's not great, but it's okay. Certainly okay. 70s return was again right in that 7% for bonds. Now, is that a great return for bonds? 7%. That's because what were interest rates doing at that point, going way up. But stocks were down at what? Closer to 5 or 6 for that decade. So bonds did better than stocks for that whole entire decade. How about the 80s? 80s, the roaring 80s, right? We had about a what? Looks like a 13% rate of return for stocks. And what were bonds at that point? Holy crap, look at that. 12%. So how about the 80s, guys? 12% for bonds, 13% for stocks. How about that decade? When are we going to see that again? Now, where's a lot of wealth managers? When did a lot of wealth managers and stock jockeys get into the business? And it's like anything. I mean, it's just psychology. Your favorite music is probably from when you were in your 20s. Your favorite movies are probably from when you were in your 20s. So guess what? Managers still have embedded in their psyche about the stock market. Because then let's look at the 1990s. Bonds at about a 7%, and stocks at even a higher, maybe 17, 18%. So for the 80s and 90s, stocks and bonds did what? Holy crap-oly, right? So that's when most people, most stock jockeys, most wealth managers got into this business. So guess what's imprinted on their brain? Stocks and bonds are always going to do what? They're always the what? Best place to be. Because they didn't get in the 60s and 70s when stocks and bonds were not necessarily the best place to be. Now let's go to the 90s, or sorry, 2000s. So 2000s, look at, again, bonds, 6% rate of return. Of course, we've seen stocks during the 2000s do what? To even make it above 0. And then 2010, or the 10s, what do we got here? 2010s, stocks did what? Close to 14%. And 2010s, bonds did about 3%. So now we got a problem, though, right? Because where are bonds going to be on this chart? We're at 5,000-year lows, almost at 0 for bonds. Where are bonds going to be over the next 10 years? It's going to be below all of these dots, right? And with where we are right now, with the CAPE or the Shiller PE, and according to Munger and a lot of the people sit at the institute sitting on the sideline, where are stocks going to be? Up here or down here? So what should people expect for the next 10 years? Yeah, sideways. So how do we deal with our portfolio with sideways portfolios? FIAs, that's right, FIAs. They're great for sideways portfolios. Here's another chart that they had. Record stock outflows in bond inflows. So we've always seen that. When do people go into things? When do we have record inflows? At the very best time or the very worst time? So where's all the money going right? They're going into bond funds right now. So is that the best time or the worst time to be going into bonds? At the very worst time. Yep. So were you trying to get in there, Missy? No? Okay.
Nope,
I thought somebody was trying to talk in there. Okay. Okay. So the record stock outflows, bond inflows. And who's doing the record stock outflows right now? The guys in the basement trading Robinhood or institutional money? Yeah, big money. Big money's getting out. Recent bond returns have drifted from interest rates, which is a good sign or a bad sign? That is a bad sign because that's not how they're supposed to work. So that means the bubble will be worse when it happens. And I love this chart here. The price is going up. Let's watch the market. Trend is holding. I'll buy at the next consolidation. Dang it, I missed out on the consolidation right here. But if I wait any longer, I won't profit from the trend. Let's buy right here. Good thing I didn't wait and I made that profit. Oh, wait, I'm going to use this correction to increase my position. Brilliant. At this price, I'm going to double it. Oh, geez, as soon as this is not going the right direction, as soon as it goes back up, I'm selling out. I don't believe it. It's down to 8.25. It's hit its absolute bottom. Okay, let's wait for it to recover. Otherwise, this will have to be really long-term investment. What's the SEC doing about this? There's got to be something crooked going on with the market right now. Enough. I'm getting out. I can't take it anymore. I'm out of here. Good. I sold everything. It's going to, you know what? I don't care if it's going up. It's going to tank again anyways. Ha! I knew it. It did tank, didn't it? Wait, what? What the heck is going on? More crazies are going to be taken to the cleaners just like I was over here. This is it. I knew this was going to happen all along. Drat. I'll buy again. It's cheaper than the last time anyways. Guys, how many investors have this mentality? I have this mentality. Guess what I have to fight? I mean, I've been investing since the 1979, and I have to fight this mentality every single day. That's why it pays to have it pays to have a mindset or a system. 50-50, 40-60, 60-40, readjust every year, or what we have in our bond portfolio with the Kittis-Wade-Foe table. It makes sense to have a mentality, because if you don't have that mentality, do we make good decisions or bad decisions when it comes to the marketplace? Just us, or how about wealth managers? When we've looked at this several times over the years, do wealth managers do the same stupid things that other people do? Yeah. Now, let's look at the 1960s to 1982. So 1966 to 1982, the market was flat for almost 2 decades. So what happened, though? Did it mean that flat was getting paid 1% for 2 decades? No. It went down 25% over 9 months, and then it went up 32% over 26 months. Then it went down 35% over 18 months, and then it went up 66% over 32 months. But again, it didn't go straight up, or was it up and down, up and down, up and down? And then it went down 45% for 23 months. Then it went up 75% over 22 months. Then it went down 26% in 18 months, up 2.2% over 26 months, and then down 24% over 16 months. What kind of investment would have been terrific to be in the 1970s if they'd existed? Yes. So do you see why an FIA makes so much sense for your clients right now? And do you think it makes sense to be at a 50-50 or pushing it as far as the insurance companies will let you push it? I know what I'm doing. Because flat, but was it flat or was it down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up? That's the perfect environment for an FIA to kick butt and everything else out there. So changing the subject here. Here's how to read anybody instantly. This is out of the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. I think we talked about this about 2 years ago, but it's one of my favorite stories or metaphors. Think about 3 people you know. Think about 3 people you know. Don't name them, but just think in your mind, grab 3 people you know. It could be relatives, friends, acquaintances, business people. Think of 3 people you know. Now, how would you rate them in terms of cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork? See, this is the test that they did that was journaled in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Think of 3 people and then rate them. How would you rate them in terms of cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork? And here's what they found. It's the old metaphor where I've told the story before that there was a ferryman, and there was a city on the left or on the west side of the bank, and on the east side, another city on the east side of the banks. And the ferryman was taking somebody from the west side to the east side. They were moving from the west side to the east side, and this family was kind of worried about moving to the east side, and they asked the ferryman, "Hey, what are the people like on the east side? Are they nice? Are they mean? Are they what are they? Are they open? Are they closed?" And the ferryman said, "Well, how are people on the west hand side?" And they said, "Oh man, they are the most wonderful, open, caring, helpful people." And what did the ferryman say to the people on the east side then? What did he say to that family that was moving to the east side about the people on the east side? They are what? The same. And then he was taking people from the east side to the west side, and they were asking him, "Hey, the people on the, we're moving to the west side here. How are those people?" And he said, "Well, how are the people on the east side?" And they said, "Oh, they're horrible. They're terrible. Oh, they would never help a person out. They could care." What did he tell them about the people on the west hand side? So what is the point to that story, guys? What is the point to that story? We're a mirror, aren't we? If we think people are wonderful, what are people? Yeah, they are what you see in them. If we think people are wonderful, they're wonderful. If we think people are horrible, they're horrible. So what they found is it actually worked. If you thought people were cooperative and collaborative and were good with teamwork, guess what? You were a good cooperator, collaborator in teamwork. If you thought people were horrible with cooperation and horrible with collaboration, horrible teamwork, they found out that you were also horrible with that. So we have to, on a daily basis, monitor ourselves to make sure that we're positive. Because do people like working with negative people or positive people? They like working with positive people. And then there's another a little psychology tidbit that you should be able to use. This is a book from Unstoppable, Mary Sharapova. Sharapova. So I'm not interested in tennis. So somebody said, "You should read this book." What would I say? No, I shouldn't. I'm not interested in tennis. And that's when she wrote this book, and she was doing, how when you write a book, you're always making it on the talk shows and everything else. She said this about the book, though. This is not a book about tennis, but about a girl with a big dream to become a tennis champion. It's about what it takes to achieve that: courage, discipline, the drive to overcome setbacks, because there will be plenty of them. You have to believe you're unstoppable. So who could benefit from that book? Tennis players? Who could benefit from that book? Tennis players? Who would want to read that book? I want to read the book based on that. So the lesson here is, in marketing and in psychology, you got to be able to describe what you're doing in 50 words or less, and it has to be powerful. People have to get a great sense of why they want to move forward with this. So a great example of that is there was a movie with a $40 million budget, and it was sold, because do producers and movie houses take every idea that's given to them? Or do some movies take 10 years before finally somebody says, "Okay, we'll invest $40 million in a movie," or $100 million? Yeah, only a few make it. But this was sold, and we've talked about this several times before. This movie was sold simply with its jaws in space. And what movie is that? Alien. So that movie was funded in about 3 minutes, because they just said, hey, and it was in the 1970s. They just come off of Jaws. Jaws was an unbelievable success, and they just said, "It's Jaws in space." Boom, funded. So you got to have, and how? That's not 50 words. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's powerful. There's a good anchor. Airbnb. How this was sold to investors, because the guy who came up with it had to get funded to put up the website and grow the amount of places that were available and things like that, people to buy in. And his pitch was this: it's a web platform where users can rent out their space to host travelers. Travelers save money, hosts make money, and both can share in a local connection to the city. So less than 50 words. Is that, in a nutshell, what Airbnb does? Is it a great, unique selling proposition? Travelers save money, hosts make money. So who benefits from this? It's a win-win-win. Travelers save money, hosts make money, and Airbnb makes money. It's a win-win-win. See, that's what you have to, and did that go on and on and on? Less than 50 words. It's less than 50 words. So we need to have the same type of 50-word pitch. What makes you guys unique? When somebody says, what makes you unique? Why should I work with you? Why should my parents work with you? Why should I give you my 401k? What do you tell them? What do you tell them? First of all, let's talk about what does not make you unique. If you tell them you have terrific service, is that what makes you unique? I don't care if you have terrific service. Doesn't matter, because what do all your competitors say? They all say, we've got terrific service. People have heard that 100 times. Is it, I care more about my clients and I put them first. Now, with the 21-point checklist, you do put them first. You have a great proof that you put them first, but there's a catch-22. People aren't going to believe you until they can see what you can do. But you can't show them what you can do until they believe you. They're not going to work with you until they can trust you, but you can't show them they can trust you until they work with you. But we do that with the 21-point checklist, right? But are they going to know that when you first meet with them, when they ask you, what makes you unique? Well, let me tell you this, I got this great thing, and I do all these documents, and I do all these. They're thinking, what? I think my guy does all those things. So can we use the 21-point checklist in our unique selling proposition, in our 50-word description of what we do? Is there anything we can say about the 21-point checklist that's going to make them understand that? No, because it sounds like we have software. Well, so does my advisor. We help you fill out documents correctly. So does my advisor. Doesn't matter whether their advisor does or not. In their mind, they think what? Oh, yeah, he did that. So we have to come up with things that they haven't heard from their advisor. How about, I'm a retirement expert? How many people say that? I'm an IRA 401k expert. How many of your competitors say that? I'm a rollover expert. I have great money management. My money manager has an algorithm. My money manager has a great track record. My money manager protects you when the markets are down and gives you good rates of return when the market goes up. Well, how many people say that? Everybody. I'm a safe money expert. How many people are saying that? I can save people on taxes. So what they hear is what? What I heard you say is blah, 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 blah. Is that correct? And that's all they heard. Or worse yet, again, some of you that know me, I'm a wallflower. I do not want to meet new people at a party. I don't even want to go to a party. I love parties where I have friends. I don't like meeting new people. I'm too shy when it comes to meeting new people. Michelle has given up on taking me to those things because she knows I'm sitting against the wall and I'm looking at my watch, pointing at it constantly until we leave. And when people come up to me and they want to talk to me, and they say, one of the first things people ask is, well, what do you do? And I say, I'm a financial advisor. Why do I tell them I'm a financial advisor? What do they do when I tell them that? Yeah, they leave me alone. So we can either have it where all they hear is blah, 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 blah by telling them what we do. Because if we tell them any of these things, guess what they say? Blah, 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 blah. Or that's what they hear. Or they think, I got to get the heck out of here. But we're thinking, but no. I truly am an expert. Is there any way to show that you're truly an expert at a party or in an elevator or when first somebody asks what you do? No. But in fact, there is. I'm going to show you the way that we do that. How do we do that? We need a unique selling proposition that has these four things. Number one, you want them to say, wow, I've never heard that before. So with all these things, do they ever say, wow, I've never heard about that before? No, they've heard it 100 times. Okay, well, second thing is, how does that work? Tell me more. How many people are going to say, how does that work? Tell me more about these things. Nobody. Next thing, I want it. I want you to do, I want that thing that you talked about. How many people say they want these things when you tell them that? Nobody. And the last thing is, Hey, can you do that for me? Now, how many people are going to say, hey, can you give me that terrific service? Hey, can you take me on as a client because I want somebody who cares for me? Hey, can you do that for me? Can you be a retirement expert for me, a 401k expert for me, a rollover expert for me? Hey, does anybody say, can you do these things for me? Or do they hear blah, 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 blah and walk away? So what do we need to say then? Well, what's our unique selling proposition? I get homeowners born before 1960 in Olmsted County, 21 little known benefits they're owed, but not receiving, including a program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at your death, a program to cover 2 years of long-term care costs without paying a cent in annual premiums. So is that a good, unique selling proposition? Well, let's think about it. Let's take a look at that. Is it 50 words or less? Well, it's actually 52 words. So is it pretty darn close to that 50 words or less? Is it something that only you can claim? How many of your competitors are saying they have a program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at death? How many of your competitors are saying that? Everybody give me that answer. So John's answered, Dale's answered. Nobody. None of them are. Okay. Does it address something that keeps them up at night? Remember, of the top 10 things that seniors are worried about, how many of those 10 things do these two things touch? 9 out of 10 of the top 10 things boomers are worried about. 9 out of the top 10 things boomers are worried about, these things address. The only thing it doesn't address is leaving money for children. And I think leaving money for children was the number 9 on the list. But the other 9 out of the 10, in some shape, form, or manner, these two things touch. So we're talking about that 90% of what people are worried about, boomers are worried about. Because remember, does it touch greed, fear, or frustration? These are the things that keep people up at night. So even if they're not afraid of losing, because they might not be thinking about this, but when you bring up the fact, hey, do you have a program that's going to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at death? If they weren't thinking about it before, what are they doing now? They weren't thinking about it before. What are they thinking about now? Because how many of your clients have a plan for that? None. Okay. How about a program to cover 2 years of long-term care costs without paying a cent in annual premiums? Does that deal with fear and frustration? Frustration that long-term care costs too much. Fear, oh my gosh, my aunt, my uncle, my grandpa ended up being in the long-term care facility for 5 years, and grandma went through $300,000. Is it extremely specific? Can we get any more specific than this? Born before 1960, Olmsted County, 21 little known benefits, program to protect your wife from losing half or so. I mean, is there anything more specific than this? And how many, why do we want to be specific, guys? What does specificity give us? What does specificity give us? Credibility. Credibility. If I just said, hey, if I just finished with just this, I get homeowners born for 1960, a whole bunch of benefits they're owed but not receiving. Is that going to work? No, because that's what? Is that specific or vague? It's got some specific things in there, but did I talk about any of the benefits? No, it's vague. If I was going to drop off anything, I'd drop off this first paragraph and just say, when somebody says, what do you do for a living? I say, well, I do 2 things. One is I provide programs, people that are on Social Security, I make sure they have a program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at your death, or vice versa, you losing half of her Social Security, your Social Security at her death. And number 2, the second program is I cover help people get a program that covers 2 years of long-term care costs, which, geez, they run $90 grand a year now. It covers 2 years of long-term care costs, and they don't have to pay a single dime in annual premiums. Now I'm way below the 50 words, right? And is it something that is extremely specific? Now, if they're receiving Social Security, obviously this will be important. If they're receiving Social Security, this is going to be important because they're older and they've got friends, neighbors, relatives that have experienced this. So what is the third thing I want them to say with a unique selling proposition? Is it brief or repeatable? But the real test is this. I've never heard that before. Had they ever heard of these two things before? So let's take the 4 points that we want them to cover. Have they ever heard of these two things before? Hell, most advisors, when they think about it, do they know about these two things? How does that work? If you're at a party or you have a foursome with, and maybe you're in a charity tournament and a foursome, and you say these two things, what percentage of people are going to say if they're retirement age, they're over 62 years old, what percentage of people are going to say, how does that work when you tell them these two things? A high percentage or a low percentage? High percentage. Now, how many are thinking, I'd like that? I want to make sure I've got that program. At least I want a program like that, and I want a program like that. Can you do that for me? Is that something I could talk to you about? Is this something I could spend more time with you afterwards and discuss? So once they've said these things, now you have what? They've invited you in. They've invited you in to have a sales presentation. So what if you don't like those? I mean, first of all, if I say, what's your unique selling proposition, how long or how quickly should that be able to roll off your tongue? How smoothly should that be able to roll off your tongue? Could you ever know when this is going to come up? Do you ever know when the opportunity to use this is going to come up? Yeah, you don't know. So you better, when you're in an elevator, boom, you better be able to come up with it. If you're in a foursome with the golfing and you're on the 7th hole and somebody's in the weeds and you're waiting for him to find his ball, you should be able to do boom right then and there. You can't be thinking about this, because if you sound like you're clumsy with it, guess what? I'm not really interested in what you do, because you don't obviously know what you do. If you don't like that unique selling proposition, well, we got other ones. Instead of saying I'm a retirement expert or 401k expert, instead I say I show people born before 1960 how to withdraw money from the IRA and pay 47% less tax using IRS section 408, IRS code section 408. Because if you think about it, what percentage of your IRA is taxable when you pull it out now? All of it, yeah. And I have a way to have you pay 47% less tax on that. So is that different? Is that more specific? Is that what people who say that they're experts in IRAs, is this how they say it? Or do they just simply say, I'm an IRA expert? Instead of saying you're a Social Security expert, you say, I show people 59 and above how they can increase their Social Security check by 67% using Social Security Regulation 202.025. In essence, I get them free money from Social Security they didn't even know they qualified for. Is that saying you're a Social Security expert, or does everybody that's doing seminars say this when they're asked at a party what they do? Or do they go blah, 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 blah? Create pensions, lower taxes and fees. I'm a tax expert? No, you say, I help people reduce the tax they pay who don't work full time to pay only 1.5% on their investment income using IRS Section 472. How many of your competitors are saying that they're a tax expert by saying this? Because when you say you're a tax expert, what do they think? When you say you're a tax expert, what do they think? Sure. And what else do they think? So is my what? Yeah, so is my accountant. But if instead you say, I show people how to get their tax bracket down to 1.5% on their investment income, how many of your competitors or CPAs are saying that? None. And would they know if their CPA got them down to a 1.5% tax bracket? Would they know that? Yes, they would know that. So it's something you would say, oh, gosh, my guy didn't do that. Because if you just say, I can help you reduce your taxes, guess what they think? No, my accountant does that already. When you say, I can reduce your tax bracket to 1.5%, they can then think, my accountant's not doing that. Holy crap. Or you say, I can reduce the tax you pay, because right now, when you withdraw money from your IRA, how much tax do you have to pay on it? Well, a lot. What if I could reduce that by 47%? That's what I do. Would they know whether their accountant or their advisor was able to reduce the tax they pay on their IRA by 47%? Would they realize that? Would that something they'd be pretty darn happy about? Yeah. Reduce the mortgage. I show people how to use the government money to pay 15%, to get a 15% discount on their insurance premiums, car payments, mortgage payments. I reduce taxes. I show people over age 62 how to reduce their taxes by 50% using IRS Section 86. Long-term care. I show people how to get long-term care without paying annual premiums using the Pension Protection Act of 2006. See, these are good. These are USP statements because they're way below 50 words. They're specific, and they get people saying, well, how do you do that? Tell me more. So where can you use these things? Well, you get Fran talking. Who's Fran? Friends, relatives, acquaintances, and neighbors. If you tell them that you do these things at a party or in an elevator or when you're golfing, how many people are going to say, can you tell me more? And if you use those things, that puts your marketing on steroids. Because where can you use that, your unique selling proposition? You can use it everywhere. Stationary business cards, brochures, seminars and webinars. Make sure, do we use those in our seminars and webinars? Do we talk about the five goals? Yeah. You want to talk about those 5 goals. You can use in direct mail, networking, social situation, your email signature. And remember, on every single first meeting, aren't the goal statements really just 5 unique selling propositions? Aren't the goal statements 5 unique selling propositions? Yes. So where should you use those? Everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Does that make sense? So it's a powerful tool that I don't think many of us utilize to the degree that we can use them. Because once you're fluid with it, you can use it everywhere, okay? So any questions on that? Super. Well, we're coming in to the holiday season here with Christmas coming up and Hanukkah's past, and we got New Year's coming. So we are going to, here's the holiday hours. Our office will be closed on December 24th, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then also we'll close at 2 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and we'll be off on New Year's Day. I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing this as well. And we'll take a break next week because a lot of us are taking that whole week off. I hope that you're doing, because clients generally don't want to see us between the holidays. So at the end of the year, I just want to say this has been a really trying year. So guys, I can't tell you how impressed I am with how many of you put your nose to the grindstone, made hay against all odds. Many of you had some of the best years of your career this year by going back to your clients, by working referrals, by doing some of the things we talked about, unique selling propositions. You guys have really, really shown what it takes to have grit and do what it takes to be successful in 2020. So we're all in hopes that 2021 is the beginning of a much better era for us, and that we can get in front of people again. And we already have some bright sunshine about being able to do that. And hopefully we can put some of this headwind against us and get a little tailwind so we can all have fantastic, great 2021s as well. So I appreciate all you guys, all the work you put in, and just all the things that you do for us. We all here at 5Q and ECA really appreciate you being with us, giving us the opportunity to help you in any way. And we wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and then we will all talk to you in 2021. Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, guys.